For Debra Searle, the sea became her home for 3.5 months as she took part in the 2001 Atlantic rowing race. On October the 7th, she and her husband Andrew set off from Tenerife for Barbados after a year's meticulous preparation. But they still forgot one thing.
On the day of my departure, my twin sister Hayley and her husband Lee gave me a tiny copy of the Bible. They said, every ship has a ship's Bible. That's how they sold it to me. And I had no faith at all, and ordinarily probably wouldn't have wanted to take a Bible. And they'd written a really special message in the front. This little book has helped us a lot in the good times and the bad. God is a God of love, hope and peace. Above all, he's our loving Father. Sorry, it always makes me cry.
Unknown to Debra and Andrew, bad times were just around the corner.
When Andrew and I started out on this journey, we really believed we had the right combination of skills to win this race. But on the first night, it turned out that Andrew suffers from a really crippling phobia of open ocean. We got to the point where he was so ill that we had to call for the rescue yacht to come and collect him.
With Andrew in full agreement, Debra continued on her own, though she was disqualified from the race. Little did she know how much her life was to change. And little did she know what lay just ahead.
One of the most disastrous days at sea was when I'd had some problems in the boat, so I had my head down and I just wasn't aware of what was going on around me. And when I next looked up, there was this enormous, great big supertanker just bearing down on my position, and all I could see was this bow wave churning off the front of this ship and this massive metal hull behind coming straight for me. And I just sat on the edge of the boat, and it was totally the wrong response, but all I could think was, that's it, I'm going to die. And then I noticed that it was at a slight angle to me, and it just passed me by. I was washed away by the bow wave.
Already very low through the sheer isolation, her close encounter with death made matters worse, and Debra considered giving up. But encouragement came through modern technology and an ancient book.
After a couple of months, I became so desperately lonely, so the team found out a way they could set up a link for people to send me text messages to my satellite phone from any computer in the world. And I started to get thousands of text messages. But the ones that really struck me actually were the Bible verses that people had started to send me. In fact, some of them were so special I transferred them to my iPhone. I'll read you a few that made a real impact when I was out there. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a future and a hope, from Jeremiah. And this one as well seemed quite apt. When it was really stormy, I'd often read this one again. Mightier than the violent raging of the seas, mightier than the breakers on the shore, the Lord above is mightier than these, from Psalm 93. I loved that idea that however crazy the conditions got that the boat was in, I had this God above who was mightier than all those things and would protect me.
Land ahoy! Hurrah! Finally! Here we are. This is the time and position. Let's look at the GPS. All I can see is this kind of very ominous looking shadow in the distance. So anyway, here's what it looks like.
As soon as I got to land and I got to hold each one of my family members, it was so special. Just the most incredible moment of my life. I don't think anything will ever beat that. Now looking back, I can see that actually I was on two completely separate journeys. There was this very physical journey across the Atlantic, but actually there was this much more important journey, which was my journey to faith towards God. And actually that's been the long-standing one. That's the one that is still the most important journey in my life, and still continues to be the thing that guides me the most.